Hi, everybody. My name is Julia,
And I'm Nicole.
and we're co-leading Betty's Family Canada. This is our third vlog. We'll be talking about allyship. And for this vlog, we've invited some allies within our office place to talk about what allyship means to them and how they bring it both within work and in their personal lives. So we'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Bailey Title, and I am a labeling specialist in the regulatory department, and I work for all of MBB.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rennie Birchmore. I'm the Director of Customer Supply Chain and Logistics Planning for General Mills Canada.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie Evans. I'm part of ITQ, and I work in product performance.
Hi, everybody. I'm Quinn Brody. I'm a Director of Sales for the Awesome Channels team here in Canada.
Quinn, can you talk a bit about your introduction to the LGBTQ plus community and your journey through allyship so far?
So I think I first was personally introduced when a very close family friend came out to me, and I had known her most of my life. And so I have to tell you that I was very surprised, and but I was very happy for her. But I think that I talked probably more than I should have at the time, and that I needed to listen to her more than I did. And that was like some of my learning that she shared with me. And then from there, I just made sure that anytime I would meet somebody new who wanted to share with me, that I would just be quiet and listen and see what I could do. And that's sort of what I've sort of, managed throughout my career and my life, is really trying to be a better listener. And then when you guys got involved in Betty's Family, I thought I'd really like to be part of that. I've been working with Women's Leadership Network, and I thought I may have something I can add and support. So that's how I got involved.
Okay, Rennie, same question. Would you be able to discuss a bit about your journey as an ally to the LGBTQ plus community and how that relates to your own personal life?
Absolutely. And thank you for the question. And thank you for having me as part of this this forum as well. I think for me, it's all about, moving from the islands to the lovely diverse city of Toronto, 30 plus years now, and being introduced to this community through family and friends. But becoming an ally was sort of natural for me based on my own personal experience as an immigrant, being from a smaller country, moving here, being of a different color, and going through some of those experiences as well. So when I got introduced to this community, it felt like a natural fit and natural for me as seeing them as equals. And I feel that has helped me with embracing the community as well.
All right, Jackie, can you describe a bit about your introduction to the community as well as how you've developed as an ally?
Yeah, if you had asked me that question 2.5 years ago, I probably would have answered it and said, oh yeah, I'm an ally. I've got lots of friends that are gay or lesbian, and I'm totally cool with it. I'm supportive, blah, blah, blah. And then 2.5 years ago, my eldest child came out to me as transgender. And I really didn't have any idea what that meant, to be honest. My world was sort of turned upside down. Basically, I had to start my education all over, and at that point in time, I really understood more what it meant to be transgender and how I could support.
My cousin and I were in university at the same time, and he actually came out when he was in first year and I was in second year. So he came out to me and my sister, and then to the rest of my family. And so from that, my family made an effort to use very inclusive language, kind of educate ourselves. But I think the most eye-opening experience is when I came to General Mills, and a colleague that I became good friends with is part of the LGBTQ community. And I was honestly became super curious in the community, and just honestly took it upon myself to educate by respectfully asking questions. And my friend encouraged me to join Betty's Family Canada, and I've joined. And since it's been kicked off in Canada, I've attended multiple events, one being the National Coming Out Day panel, and that was such an incredible thing to watch, just both LGBTQ members and allies talking about their experiences, and that was honestly the most eye-opening experience for me.
Quinn, has diversity shaped your leadership style, and if so, how?
Well, you know, when I read the question, I had to really think about it. And I think as we're leaders and the longer that we are leaders, our style continues to adjust and change. And so I do feel like being a leader is a position of privilege. And it's really important to me to be more visible. I have the ability to be more visible, and I have the ability to be more vocal. And so I do a lot of that with my team and throughout the organization. But I think what that's really done is it's created a safe space, and that on my team, that people feel that we've created this space and that they're comfortable sharing and being their authentic selves, no matter what that is. And so for me, that's really what it's been about, is just about adjusting as time goes by and as we learn more and we become more comfortable. But I think making sure that the team feels that it's safe is really important, number one. And then number two is, if you're in this position of privilege of being able to have the opportunity to speak out in the community of General Mills or in your own community, you have to take that. It's not just something that you can do. I really believe it's something that you must do, that you should do. Because if you're not playing your role.
Okay, Rennie, so as yourself being in a leadership position within General Mills, how do you ensure that you create a safe place within your team and the greater team at General Mills for things such as being your authentic self at work or allowing colleagues to come out in the workplace?
I think that's a great question. And, you know, within supply chain, just my personal example here, I have the largest team in customer supply chain and logistics planning. As a leader in an organization that fully supports and embraces diversity and treating everyone equally, I think it's quite simple of an answer. It is part of my role. It is part of my role to ensure that I'm embracing and leading in that spirit as well. But I also believe it's sharing your personal experiences and breaking down those protected walls that you may have at a personal level, and showing that to your team. That actually opens out that space for folks to feel okay to share their experiences as well. And by encouraging that within your team and encouraging that through my peer set as leaders of the organization, I think we're moving forward in that space within General Mills as well.
Jackie, can you describe your daughter's coming out process and what that was like for you as a parent?
It was 2.5 years ago. And when my daughter Maggie started to talk to me about the fact that she wanted to explain how she was feeling inside as far as her gender, and I was, to put it mildly, not very supportive. I was embarrassed. I was afraid to talk to my family about it. I didn't know how to explain it to friends. But eventually I had a friend that suggested I attend a support group meeting. And the one that I started with was a group called PFLAG. It is a group for parents and friends and family and for the LGBTQ plus person. And it was a turning point for me. So I got that support. I got my education started, and I did a 180 really quickly. As soon as I realized it wasn't a choice, the light went off, and I realized that I needed to support my child. I guess my mother bear even came out very quickly, and I became an advocate. I understood that the suicide rate for people that are transgender who don't have family support is sky high. And I started to put myself in her shoes of what has it felt like for her to not be able to be her true authentic self. We're happy to say that Maggie and I are on a really positive journey right now. It's a tough journey, but we're on it together. I'm supporting her every step of the way, helping her with all the legal name change, identification changes, gender changes on her identifications. She's waiting for surgery. It's happening fast, but it's okay. And all I really want is for her to be happy and feel good about herself. And that is what it's been like for me as a parent. So hard, but positive, and we're still on the journey together.
Okay, Rennie, so in terms of being an ally, and one of the elements being potentially recognizing some blind spots, which all of us have, what would you say is a time where you potentially had a blind spot and realized it and adapted from that and grew from that?
So luckily for me, I don't think I've had an opportunity of where I was in an incredible, frustrating blind spot. But what I can say is we're all humans and we have blind spots. I think what is important is that self-awareness, right? And really owning it when it happens, reflecting on it, why did it happen, and also checking on it. I think there's opportunities for us to be self-disciplined about that and coach ourselves to become better, and coach others around us to become better as well. I also think individually and collectively, we need to continue to educate ourselves. We live in diverse cities. We work for companies that support diverse communities. And it's our role to continue to educate ourselves in that space, just to become natural and better human beings overall. And I think sometimes those approaches and intentions, while we go through these blind spots, may not directly impact a certain community, but I think it can help us with sending the right message and the right coaching to others when it does happen. So for me, it's all about self-awareness, tracking and learning from those experiences, and continuous education.
Bailey, what are some lessons from the experiences and actions that you've taken on your allyship journey that you can give to other people, both personally and within the workplace?
I've learned a lot from my allyship journey, and as I said before, I still have a long way to go, but some of the key lessons that I've learned that I'd like to share with other people for the, kind of just starting their allyship journey is to respectfully ask questions to help kind of guide your own development, and just be curious. With my friend, I've asked a lot of questions, but one that specifically is like stood out to me and I'll never forget is I said, like, what, when you're coming out, like, what would have made the experience easier for you? And it was just like more comforting. And she explained that if her parents growing up use more inclusive language, not making any assumptions that she's going to be with the boy or even with a girl, just kind of using general language. And I'm going to take that with me when I have kids one day to kind of say, like, whoever, when we're talking about relationships or so forth, I'd say, like, whoever you choose to be with. So it's not making any assumptions. And I've really just learned to like change the way I think, but there's definitely more work to do.
Jackie, what advice would you give to another parent whose child just came out as transgender to them?
I guess the first thing I would say to them is, that they're not alone, and that there's lots of support out there for them, including me. I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody at any time about what I have learned so far. But that was a real turning point for me, was when I got support, and not just from an education perspective, but being able to share my feelings as a parent, because you do experience a real gamut of feelings of shock, grief, anxiety, and you need to be able to talk about that. But I guess in retrospect, if I could go back and do things a little bit differently, I would really like to be able to share those not always positive feelings with my parent support group or my friends, whatever. And when I'm with my transgender child, to share all of that with them, because you're very privileged that they have included you in their journey. Not all do. And the support is so, so important. The first thing I learned on my very first phone call of support was how important it is to use my child's chosen new name and pronouns. And that was really hard, but I started doing that, and it shows them that you have the intention of supporting them, and it means the absolute world to them. The last thing I'll say is, for a parent, I guess I would remind them or ask them, what do we all want for our children? And I think most of us would answer, we want them to be happy, have confidence, feel good about themselves, and to be able to be themselves. And by supporting them in this journey, that's exactly what you're doing. And you will see a happier child.
When employees can be their true and authentic selves in the workplace, how does this improve the work that they do in the business overall?
I think that's a great question. And I believe it's as simple as, if people feel safe and comfortable in their environment and supported in their environment, they're going to be more engaged, they're going to be happier, and happier people enjoy being at work, enjoy doing their work, and they're more productive. It's as simple as that.
So Bailey, what does recognizing and celebrating Pride Month mean to you as an ally within the workplace?
Honestly, I used to think Pride was this parade that happens down a Church Street where people dress up in rainbow and drink and have a good time. But now I've realized, through educating myself and when I've been helping to plan Pride Month, I learned more about the history. And one thing that really stood out to me was the decriminalization in 1969 in Canada, and I really couldn't believe my eyes. And I took this time to have conversations about it with my family, and I had a conversation with my grandmother, who's 85, and she just said, she's like, yeah, like it wasn't talked about. It wasn't a thing. No one she knew was gay, and they didn't really even understand what gay was. And this really just stood out at me. And now I understand that we need to appreciate all the people before us who fought for LGBTQ plus rights, and now celebrate everything that has been accomplished through educations, conversations, and celebrations like the Pride Parade, which unfortunately isn't happening this year, but hopefully next year. And honestly, I'm so appreciative of Betty's family making such a strong appearance in Gender Mills Canada. And now we're going to Pride Month, guns blazing, thanks to Nicole and Julia, but also to the leadership team who have showed us the importance of allyship. I think it's a great stepping stone to making our workplace more inclusive.
For me, allyship means that I do my part to ensure that folks and people are treated fairly. In my personal experience, I've also had areas where I needed allies, and I know that it brought a great feeling, a warm feeling, to know that I can depend on others to be allies towards what I was going through. And I want to make sure that I can transfer that energy to folks and to people that require support as well. So for me, it's important that I do that, and that's my interpretation of what allyship means.
What allyship means to me when I got involved in this was that I had to make sure that I was being an active listener, not just hearing, but actually listening and being able to translate what that meant to me. It was really important that I continue to educate myself. And even though I felt like I knew a lot about LGBTQ+, I didn't know nearly as much as I should know. And I feel like it's going to be a continuous learning responsibility of mine to do that, and then to share it if people ask me.
To me, allyship means being supportive and continuous learning.
To me, allyship means educating yourself to become knowledgeable, and with that knowledge to gain empathy, and with that empathy to be able to be loving, supportive, kind to your, in my case, child, but also your friends. And yeah, that's what it means to me.
To me, allyship means taking a stand for equality and self-educating yourself so that you can be a better person, a more inclusive person, and make other people feel comfortable.
To me, allyship means a few things. First, it means recognizing the communities that you are an ally to. For the LGBTQ+ community, I am a part of that community. But there are many other communities where I am an ally, and it's my responsibility as a person to recognize where those are and take ownership to educate myself about how I can become a better ally to support those communities and the people within it.